Hello again, viewers of Talking Paranormal. I am your host, Chris Albrecht. As you can see, I am solo tonight, and that is because my partner, Matt, my co host, my partner in paranormal crime, is out with the flu or some sort of sickness. I actually have the flu right now as well. One of us had to stick around. I thought it was going to be him, you know, basically holding me up the whole show. And as it turns out, I'm on enough flu medicine and cold medicine to keep me afloat for this episode. So that's what we're gonna do. Um, so unfortunately, Matt couldn't join us tonight. He will be missed. Our subject was going to be about aliens and UFOs. Um, with Matt's absence, I've decided that I think it would be a fun time just to watch some paranormal videos, some interesting and unexplained videos from the internet, and just give my personal take. And if anybody joins um, the chat, feel free to give your give your 2 cents, and we're just gonna have a good time today. The show must go on. I'm glad one of us could make it here. Because it was looking pretty grim there. I was hoping that I would wake up this morning and feel a little bit better, but thanks to all the medicine I'm taking, uh, we should be all right for this episode. So, thanks for watching. This is a compilation of videos that I found, some of which were going to be played for tonight's episode had Matt and I both been here for UFOs and aliens and or so the government now has stopped calling them UFOs and they now call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, which I find to be funny. So UFOs had a very tinfoil hatty, connotation, and now UAPs, it sounds a little bit more 2022, I guess. But hey, Aaron's in the chat. uh I always get suspicious when the government starts talking about, releasing files and things like that. You know what I mean? Because I know that they've been talking about UAPs a lot more frequently. And I read an article that the Canadian government is going to share their information on UFOs with the US government, which I find to be very suspect, very, very suspect. I don't trust any government. And once they started like in the realm of ufology, there was always talk about disclosure. One day there would be disclosure. And as we get closer, you start questioning some of the things that are coming out. Well, if the government's saying that, oh, all this time, they've been hiding things or flat out lying, saying that UFOs don't exist, and now they're like, okay, so just kidding, we've been looking into it. It's like, hold on. So, and now I start getting suspicious. There is an interesting video that we're going to play later, a couple of them actually, that I think are related. And if you want my opinion, this is what I think. I think that the government absolutely has reverse engineered alien spacecraft. I do. I really do. Um, you might hear about a craft called the TR-3B. It's a triangular craft. Interestingly enough, this is supposed to be the first reverse engineered alien spacecraft that the US government, or the military, excuse me, has developed, and it is actually capable of space flight. That's the rumor. There's a couple videos that we're going to play today that, you know, make my eyebrows go up. And, if you really ask me what I think about the alien presence on Earth, I think they've been here for thousands of years. I think they were visiting us long before modern civilization. Um, I, I question ancient structures and how ancient structures all over the world, have depictions of what we can assume are alien beings, on cave walls and hieroglyphics, written on stone tablets. Uh, a lot of ancient civilizations had vast knowledge of astronomy. Some that we didn't even, in modern day, didn't even discover until we had telescopes. So there's a lot of questions in our history, and I just don't feel like we know the truth. I don't feel like we have a good grasp on what our actual history is. There's another little clip that I'm going to play later that it leads into an interesting conversation. I can't wait to play that clip. But I do believe that we have recovered alien craft. I'm not quite sure if I subscribe to the idea that the government has been in cahoots with aliens or has some sort of a treaty or anything like that. To be honest, I think the government's really, really scared. Um, if these beings, these extraterrestrials have the capabilities to get here and travel um, uh, throughout the galaxies and the universe, in order to do that kind of travel, you would have to be able to manipulate space time. That's what I think. So the idea that these beings could be, hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions, if not eons of time more advanced than us, that's a scary thought. If they could wipe us out in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? On Earth, we have civilizations of people, tribes of people that have been basically untouched by modern civilization. And what if we're, I hear this theory a lot and I subscribe to it. What if we're like like, the experiment, you know, or the planet that they like to come to and watch because we're such, you know, crazy lunatics. Um, it's interesting to me that aliens and UFOs, they really didn't start becoming more known until we started messing with nuclear technology and nuclear arms. Once we started messing with nukes, then it seems like they started popping up all over the place. Now, if you look at ancient paintings and the cave drawings, like I was talking about, but even like I don't know, 14th, 15th, 16th century paintings, you can see depictions of what look to be flying saucers in these paintings, which I find to be really interesting. But I would like to talk more about aliens and UFOs with Matt on the show. So, um, with him being gone, I thought, let's pull up a bunch of videos, some of which I was going to play, um, and just talk about them. So, I guess best way to do that is just to let it rip. So, here we go. Here's the first video. Very interesting. Very interesting. In the video, what you see is an airplane traveling through the sky and a cluster of clouds and what appears to be an unidentified flying object flying at breakneck speed through the clouds, so much so that it actually makes the cloud basically part, like it blows through the cloud. Now, could this be CGI? Yes, of course it could be CGI. It's tough with these videos. There's so much. This is going to be a problem for this show. I can already see it. But our job isn't to say whether or not they're real or fake. It's just to analyze the footage. So let's assume this was real. I don't know if I've ever seen an aircraft blow through a cloud like that with such velocity. Let's watch that clip again. It's pretty remarkable. If this is real footage, I'm impressed. If I were to be looking up at the sky and see that, my mind would be blown. I don't know. I mean, I've seen jets flying. Um, I've seen I've seen fighter jets in the desert. I've seen all sorts of things, and I've never seen anything move quite this quick. Um, so let's watch this again. Very interesting footage. It looks like a disc-shaped object. Um, gosh, you know, I still think that it's hard to say that everything that we see up in the sky that we can't identify is just, mistaken identity. Oh, that's a plane. Oh, that's a because you see things in the sky, and I've seen videos of it. I've never seen it myself. I've seen a lot of satellites where at first I was like, "Oh, there's a UFO." So I track them and I wait for them to do maneuvers that satellites don't do or that planes don't do, where you see an object tracking through the sky and then all of a sudden it makes a right angle turn or it does a complete, you know, a complete 360, goes back the other direction, or a 180. Um, I've seen some crazy footage of what could look like a satellite up in the sky, and you're watching this object and then all of a sudden it just takes a completely different direction, and it it's definitely mind-boggling to think that you know there's machines uh that can do this, because as far as we know, as citizens of earth, no government has, or no military has, that technology that we know of. But a lot of us, myself included, think that the military doesn't exactly tell us everything. And, it's commonly said that we have technology that's, you know, 50 years advanced of what we know about, you know. Um, and that's the footage we get into later that shows something very suspicious on a naval ship is really going to raise some eyebrows. So, the footage we just watched with the object, what appears to be a disc shape blowing through a cloud at breakneck speed, very compelling. Not much to say other than that. So I have mixed in a couple different things in here. So it's not just going to be UFOs today, folks. This was an interesting piece of footage. I'm curious to see what other people think about this. Dutch Guy's Garage, what's up? So this is interesting footage because in my mind, this I would classify this as possible Bigfoot activity. Let's take a look. So in this footage, you see basically a green belt next to a road, which appears to be next to a piece of property, um, with like a farm on it, or not a farm, but like a barn, or something to that effect. But you see this giant green belt, and you see some pretty big trees. I'm wondering if it was a piece of machinery back there or what, but any piece of machinery that I've seen taking down trees does it with pretty much ease. Now, could it have been a bear? It could have been. But what you see from above, this drone footage shows the trees basically rocking back and forth really aggressively, like something's trying to basically rip them out from the ground. Um, I thought it was super compelling footage because in the world of Bigfoot, you hear stories and you've seen things in the woods like tree structures. So, whether these tree structures are natural or man-made, um, is debatable. I've seen many that look like some people were just out in the woods building a structure. I've seen others where you see giant trees, 6 inches around, ripped from the ground, turned upside down, and basically driven, pile driven into the ground. I don't know any human strong enough to do that. Um, so it's interesting when I see this footage because Nobody's ever seen that I know of. I've never heard of an account of somebody seeing or witnessing a Sasquatch taking a tree and building a tree structure, or, you know, taking a tree and debranching it and pile driving it into the ground. I've never heard of anything like that, but this is interesting footage because who knows? That could have been a Sasquatch in the middle of the day going, I'm going to rip up some trees and build a tree structure right here. The fact that it's so close to a road and a house make me question. Um, I'm also not a logger or anything like that. It doesn't look like this area is being used for logging, and it would be an awfully suspicious place to start in the middle of the woods next to a road like that, um, with no visible machinery. So, you know, I- from the view that you get, it does not look like these trees are small by any means. So the fact that these trees are swaying so aggressively, you know, could a bear be doing it? I suppose, but again, why? Why would a bear? Why would a bear be doing it? Let's watch this footage again. It's very, very strange. But just look at how aggressively these trees are being tossed around. Yeah, so this is apparently footage from Tennessee. Um, a massive tree is what it says in the footage, and from the looks of it, it could be Mr. Bigfoot having a bad day. You know what I mean? Just taking some aggression out on some trees. Uh, who knows? But I thought it was very interesting footage. I mean, gosh, the guy with the drone, it's like, hey, get down there. Check, you're in a drone, it's not like it's going to attack you. And if it does, that would be some compelling footage. Could you imagine if he drops the drone down into the tree line and actually gets to witness what is doing? Even if it was a bear, you know, um, I would suppose they have bears in Tennessee. I'm not quite sure. Uh, but there are a lot of Bigfoot sightings down in that area. So, you know, compelling footage, not faked from what I can tell. If you look at it, you can really see one of those trees like really getting pushed around. Like it's remarkable. Whatever was moving that tree had a lot of power. So, was it Bigfoot? Who knows? I'm going to go ahead and say that it was Bigfoot having a bad day. Could you imagine if it was two big feet, two Sasquatches, and they're like, you know, aggressive displays of power? That'd be interesting. Let's take a look at some more footage. This, I believe, is unidentified aerial phenomenon. Let's check it out.
Oh, here's another one right here. You see him? Flying right over our heads. Pointing it right at him. And now he's turning.
Ooh,
Yeah.
just flashed.
Yeah, you see him?
Yeah, it just flashed.
I'm lasering or at him, and he's curving.
I thought this piece of footage was interesting only because I've heard stories. So what you see is you see a sky and you see a gentleman with a green laser pointer pointing up at an object that's flying around the sky. Now, I wouldn't advise that. If this is some military aircraft, the last thing you want to be doing is flashing a laser pointer at them. But I've heard stories of people going out into the desert or into areas with low light pollution and seeing these objects and using laser pointers to communicate with them. Um, it's insane to me. Uh, but I guess, you know, I've heard accounts of them blinking these laser pointers and these objects in the sky that are moving around blink back. That's insane to me. Um, you know, I, I would love to see. Now, you're not going to catch me going in a haunted, sanitarium or something like that, but I would definitely would go out into the desert and see about, you know, catching a glimpse of something in the sky that I can't explain. I don't know if I'd want to be flashing a laser pointer at it, but it is interesting that there have been cases where people have claimed to have been able to, for lack of a better term, communicate with these objects in the sky. Uh, let's watch this footage again. Um, Very interesting. It looks like it does blink at it, or at them, the people on the ground, because there's apparently a group of people on the ground. This guy's flashing a laser pointer, and it seems like the object flashes at him. Let's check it out again.
Oh, here's another one right here. You see him? Flying right over our heads. Pointing it right at him. And now he's turning.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Just flashed.
Yeah, you see him?
Yeah, it just flashed.
I'm lasering or at him, and he's curving.
Again, an object in the sky that seemingly does maneuvers that our conventional aircraft does not, that we know about. Very interesting footage. And, you can scour the internet, YouTube, TikTok, and the internet in general, and find all sorts of videos like this. Super compelling to me when you see objects in the sky that are doing maneuvers that, as far as we know, none of our aircraft are capable of. Very questionable. This next piece of footage is a piece of footage that I'm super excited about. From what I understand, it is 100% legit. Now, if you've ever heard of the TR-3B, it's supposed to be, like I said earlier, the first reverse engineered alien spacecraft capable of space flight that the US military has in its possession. And this video definitely raised my eyebrows, because at first I was like, BS. I called BS on it. I was like, no way. But I haven't seen anything to debunk it. I'm going to keep looking because this footage is so compelling to me. So compelling that it was played on, I don't know how many TV shows, but at least one. Let's take a look at this.
September 2018, the Mediterranean Sea. An F-18 is approaching the deck of the carrier USS Ford. It looks like a pinpoint precise landing. But then,
as it goes to touchdown, we actually see a triangular-shaped UFO, like something that would be right out of an alien movie.
Okay, so what you have is a fighter jet coming in for a landing on top of the deck of an aircraft carrier, okay? And as it lands, it's coming to a stop, basically, and it's passing other aircraft. And it passes one normal jet, if I remember right. And then you see a triangular craft. It looks so real that it looks fake. Which the TR-3B is supposed to be triangular shaped. I have no other explanation. Now, I'm not a seaman. I was not in the Navy or the military, so I can't say if this was, a piece of the ship. It's right on the flight deck where they park these jets. So I find it to be extremely interesting. The craft is silver. It doesn't appear to have any markings on it that would indicate USAF, U.S. Air Force, or anything like that. Very, very compelling to me. Let's watch it again. Take a look at this thing. It looks like something out of Star Wars. It's very compelling. If this is indeed real footage, I would like to do some more research on aircraft carriers and see if there's anything that they would have on their deck that could potentially be mistaken for a spaceship. And the fact that this footage was even filmed in the first place, I'm like, that's like some top secret shit. You know what I mean? Why would you why would you let this footage leak? Let's watch it again. Oh, well, there is the old saying, they're only going to let you see what they want you to see. Maybe if they leak out this kind of stuff, You know, they can't say, "Oh, we weren't hiding it." I mean, there's pictures of it. We just didn't tell you that that's what it was. You know? So, let's take another look at this. It's very compelling. Um, very compelling.
September 2018, the Mediterranean Sea. An F-18 is approaching the deck of the carrier USS Ford. It looks like a pinpoint precise landing. But then,
As it goes to touchdown, we actually see a triangular-shaped UFO, like something that would be right out of an alien movie.
I mean, you heard her. I agree 100%. It looks so real, it looks fake. Um, very, very interesting. Now, later on, we're going to see a video that I believe is what this spacecraft, the TR-3B, would look like if it was in flight. But that footage, it just boggles my mind. Why would they allow that footage to be shown? You know, but then again, they're disclosing stuff. Now they're disclosing that they've been studying these things. Um, I, I guess they don't want to let the world know all the information. Maybe mass hysteria. They want to avoid situations like that. Um, I- Obviously, there would be some religious implications if we found out we weren't alone in the universe. Um, but you know, if you got a spacecraft and you've got some footage like this out there, you might as well just go, hey, you know, we've been experimenting with some unconventional aircraft. You know, it looks like a spaceship. It's really not. We've just been, you know, working on some aerodynamics, you know, because when the stealth bomber came out, you know, people saw that thing flying. They thought that was a UFO. And to be honest with you, if that came out today and I saw the stealth bomber flying above my head, I would go, that's a fucking UFO, you know? So, I mean, take that footage for what you will, but if that is legit, I definitely want to find out what's going on with that. I wish Matt was here so I could get his input on that because it's very, very interesting. Aaron asks, how would they get this footage? I would imagine something. I can't imagine it was a documentary that they were filming. I don't know how they got that footage. Very questionable. That's why I'm saying it looks so real, it looks fake. Uh, I'm almost left speechless on that one, just because, you know, why were they filming? What was it for? Clearly, they wanted us to see it. You know, maybe they were, you know, hiding in plain sight. I you know, you got me, dude. Um, I definitely want to do more research. Maybe someday somebody who has served in the Air Force will see this video and go, "Oh, you idiots." That's the chow hall, you know, or something crazy. Who knows, right? Let's take a look at this. Now, some of these pieces of footage that I find are questionable, without a doubt. But that's what makes this show fun, because we can break them down and, you know, give our opinions. What did you guys think in the chat? Those of you in the chat, I know there's a couple of you. What did you guys think? Does that look real to you? Did that triangular craft look real? Aaron says, we actually have a triangular shaped craft in the airbase over my back fence. It flew in about 2 weeks ago. It's black, and they told the ground crew it's the stealth bomber. Interesting. Is it the stealth bomber? um, I mean, if I was the U.S. Air Force, I'd say, okay, you know, we've got this triangular craft. Let's paint it black. That way, if anybody says, hey, I saw this crazy thing, like, oh, it's stealth bomber. You know, it's the stealth bomber. Don't worry about it. You know, play stupid. Why not, right? Let's take a look at this next piece of footage. This next piece of footage is another unidentified flying object in the sky doing something a little crazy. Let's check it out. So this piece of footage is showing a cloud formation and what appears to be a white disc. Now, that's the color that we see. It could be reflection, but regardless, you see a white disc maneuver somewhat quickly into the clouds and then reappear again and then move off again. Definitely interesting movement. Could easily be faked footage. But if real, definitely would raise some eyebrows. Let's watch that again. So it definitely is disc shaped. Um, and the way it's maneuvering is interesting because it looks like it goes belly up and then it shifts as it goes into the clouds. It takes off at pretty good speed and then comes back out of the clouds and is at much, much slower speed. Um, Very interesting. I don't know any conventional aircraft that can do things like that. I don't know any conventional aircraft that is disc shaped like that. So, you know, questions. I got questions about that footage. Very, very interesting. Do I believe it's real? Who knows? That kind of footage, I believe, could be easily faked. Uh, you start getting into high strangeness and stuff when you talk about this kind of thing because, are these beings and craft interdimensional? If they could travel, you know, interdimensionally, oh man, it almost boggles the mind to the point where you're just like, I give up, and you just want to throw the papers and go, I give up. I don't know. Why am I even talking about this? It's crazy, you know. And that's why this show's perfect because if you're into this kind of stuff, we won't call you crazy. This is an open forum where we're all of open minds, willing to look at things that most people would automatically deem crazy. Now, one thing I have to ask you, with all the footage, of ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, is it possible that they are all hoaxes? Okay. Now let me ask you this. If one of those pieces of footage from each one of those categories is real, then we have our answer. If one piece of Bigfoot footage, if the Patterson-Gimlin footage is real, which I believe it is, then we have our answer. Bigfoot's real. If one of these unidentified flying objects is from another world, we have our answer. We are not alone, and we have been visited. If one of these ghost videos is real, we have our answer. There's life after death. That's the way I look at it. So that's why it's fun for me looking at this footage. I imagine for years to come, with Matt and I doing this show, we're going to look at a lot of videos. And for me to sit here and say, every single one of the videos we show you is probably fake, but there's a chance that one of them could be real. That's all the glimmer of hope I need to keep doing it. You know what I mean? That's why I find it to be so fun. But then you get legitimate stories in the news, like the one we are about to play, that is very compelling. Let's check it out.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media, and theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you identify it?
That's undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. And aviation experts say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
Super interesting. In this footage, we have news reports coming from China that show some very, very strange activity in the sky. Now, we all know China isn't really forthcoming with information, to say the least. Um, the footage is awfully compelling. And, we sit here and some of us anyway, shout fake news. Can you trust what the news is saying? I don't have the answer for that. I know there's a lot of things that I see on the news that I don't trust. But when I see footage like this, I start questioning, if this footage is real, the governments, if they didn't want us to know about this stuff, they would do everything they could to squash it. You don't think that they could go to the news stations and go, hey, stop playing this now. You know what I mean? Um, I firmly believe they're leaking us little bits of information at a time to get us more comfortable with the idea that we are not alone. Um, gosh, you know, uh, this could get into some serious, serious conspiracy theory stuff, which we won't get into that much right now on this show. I don't want to be standing alone on my soapbox when we get into that kind of stuff. I need somebody here to take the fall with me. Aaron from Australia says that last bit looks like something breaking the speed of sound. So in one of these videos, I'm sure some of you have seen this footage before where there's a bright light in the sky and you can almost see, I don't know what you would call it. Um, I guess for lack of a better term, a contrail. So this bright white light is blowing through the sky and it's got this huge flare of light emitting from the back of it. And then it seems to pierce through the atmosphere. um, and like Aaron said, it looks like it's breaking through the sound barrier. That's what it looks like to me. The footage is just super, super compelling. Let's take another look at it. Let's see what we got here.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media, and theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you
That's
identify
undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. And aviation experts say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
Okay. Let's think about this for a second. The first object that they saw. So they saw 2 objects in the sky over China that they didn't know what they were. Okay. The first one shut an airport down. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a couple scenarios here. One, if there's an unidentified craft that's going to shut down an airport, sending the military in, sending the fighter jets, we're going to see what this thing is. No reports of that happening. Interesting. Now, is that because the Chinese government knows it's theirs? Is it because the Chinese government is scared to engage with this with this craft? Couple strong questions. When you hear that an unidentified flying object is hovering above the airport and it shuts it down, you would expect swift military action. At least I would, unless the government knows there's no fighting these things. You know what I mean? Could you imagine they get there without being detected on radar and then boom, there they are? That would, putting my presidential tie on, if I'm the president and this thing appears over the White House, do I call for the military to engage, or do I go, okay, we didn't even see this thing coming in, and here it is. What are we doing? Um, it's kind of a scary thought, you know, especially it seems to me like, a country like China would be very aggressive to something infiltrating the skies like that or invading their airspace, much like the United States. Um, we hear accounts of UFOs being chased by fighter jets and being engaged. Uh, I find it very, very interesting and questionable. Uh, an airport shut down and they don't do anything? Did it just disappear? Like, I want more to the story. Um, Aaron says that the object, I'm assuming the second one that he saw, had a tractor beam on it too, and it might be collecting a few samples. Could be sucking up a couple Chinese people. Uh, Aaron also believes that China would scramble the Air Force. I believe that too. The U.S. would too. Why wouldn't they? That's the big question. Why wouldn't they? Why would they decide not to engage? Very, very interesting. Moving on to the next video we have here. This is not UFO related. This is something questionable in the woods. We like those videos, right? Questionable things in the woods with Chris Albrecht. Here we go. Let's check this one out.
And whatever this is, this area right here goes downhill. So whatever's staring at us right now is very fucking big. That is not a small animal. Ah!
So here we have a gentleman shining a light in the woods and seeing eye shine looking directly at him. He says that the ground goes down from where he's standing. So whatever is staring at him, the eye shine, where the eyes are sitting in the wilderness, apparently the creature would have to be very big. I've seen some pretty crazy eye shine in the woods behind my grandma's house one time. Many, many pairs of eyes. And when I lit up the backyard, there was a ton of raccoons. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was like, rough estimate, 10 to 15 raccoons. I've never seen that many raccoons in one place. Blew my mind. If you were just to see the eye shine, it would look like you were looking at 20-foot tall creatures. It was insane. There were a couple on the ground, a bunch in the trees. It was insane. The interesting thing about this footage is towards the end, you can see the eye shine disappear and you can see something, a figure, move through the woods. And it looks like it does so bipedally, which to me says Bigfoot. It's got Bigfoot written all over it. It's too bad we don't have some scale to see, if there was a daylight reference so we could see approximately, where this thing was. Let's take a look at it again. Oh, we got some comments. Let's take a look at some comments first. Aaron says, unless they have before and something happened and been hidden from us. Yeah. Going back to the UFO footage. Yeah, man. You never know. Maybe they did engage. I doubt we'll hear about that. Maybe. Who knows? They might disclose. That would be interesting if they disclosed actual engagements with these flying objects. That would be very, very interesting. Raccoon party at grandma's. Yep. Going to the most recent footage, Aaron says, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't go down there and have a look. Yeah, I would definitely, at minimum, I would probably wait until daybreak, and then I would go back, film and take pictures from where I was standing. That way we can get a reference. If he took a picture and the ground does slope down and there's no tree for an animal to be hiding in or to be sitting in and staring at him with the eye shine. And, you know, it's 6 to 10 feet up in the air, where the creature would have had to have been standing in order to create the eye shine. That would be super compelling. Let's watch this footage again. The most compelling part of this footage is when the eye shine disappears and you can see the figure walking through the woods.
And whatever this is, this area right here goes downhill. So whatever's staring at us right now is very fucking big. That is not a small animal. Ah!
Very interesting footage. How about the guy's like, rah? Like, if that is a Bigfoot, might not want to do something stupid like that. Yeah, very, very interesting. Gosh, I wish we had scale. Because, if you looked at it and if it was flat ground, you'd be like, that thing's like 3 feet off the ground, dude. But he says the ground slopes down. So hard to really say. Wish we had some more footage to go with that, or some pictures, like I said, to see some scale. Next piece of footage. Not quite sure what this is. I forget. This could be, I saved a lot of footage and I uploaded a lot of stuff. This could be BS. So let's just take a look at what I saved. Let's see what we got here. Another piece of footage from at Dark Sky Files. This one looks fake to me. So you see a guy running through the woods, looks up in the sky. You can hear what sounds like aircraft, and when he points the camera up the sky, you see 2 fighter jets escorting a disc-shaped object. Looks fake to me. Although if it was real, I could imagine that if the government was test flying some of their craft, they probably would be escorting it. Maybe not. I don't know. Although if they had craft like that, I imagine that it's got some pretty advanced weaponry on it as well. So maybe it wouldn't even need an escort. Interesting footage nonetheless. I want so much for a lot of this footage to be real. I don't know why, because it's kind of a scary thought, that the government has reverse engineered spacecraft. But like I said, if they do have reverse engineered spacecraft, they had to get that engineering from somewhere to reverse it. You know what I mean? That's a crazy thought. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where it shows Earth and it shows like Google Earth and somebody like, I don't know, sunbathing, and then it zooms out and it zooms out, and then you see the Earth, and then it zooms out farther past the moon. And then it zooms out farther. You can see our solar system. And then it zooms out farther. You can see our galaxy. And then it zooms out farther, farther, and farther, all the way out. And you're just like, it really puts into perspective how small we are in comparison to the universe. It's insane. We're in the Milky Way galaxy, a solar system within, crazy, very crazy. That footage, very compelling. But I lean towards fake. When I see something this is great footage. You get a really close-up shot of this object with these 2 fighter jets. Very, very interesting footage. I'm going to lean towards fake. This next piece of footage here. So I don't remember if this was an actual video or not, but it was a picture that I thought would bring up some interesting conversation. Let's take a look at this. This has to do with dinosaurs and humans coexisting at the same point in time. Let's check it out. So this TikTok wasn't even a video. It was basically a still image that apparently is of a 16th century painting that depicts humans and dinosaurs together. Now, if you know anything about history, you will know that dinosaurs weren't even discovered until the 16th century, which makes this timeline a little bit interesting. What if there had been paintings before the 16th century that depicted humans and dinosaurs when we didn't even know dinosaurs existed? Interesting. And how quickly, if this really was a painting from the 16th century, how quickly after the first fossils were discovered? Because as I understand it, they really don't find full fossilized skeletons. They find bits and pieces, and then they assume by, guessing that these are what these creatures look like, these dinosaurs. I would like to do some more research on that and find out if they've ever actually found a full intact skeleton. I know they found woolly mammoths, which is interesting because the tissue and stuff has been preserved. Now, like in a Jurassic Park scenario, where they actually have tissue with, I believe, preserved or living cells. Aren't these creatures millions of years old? That's insane. Millions of years old. Okay? That's insane to me that something biological that could be preserved for that long, with that amount of time. I've said it before. I think that we don't know a lot about our past. I think that it could very well be that humans did exist with dinosaurs. I'm not really a religious guy, but I have done in a lot of my own independent research. I have one of my big questions was always, all right, let's say the Bible's real. Okay. Let's say the Bible's real. I would ask pastors, reverends, any man of God or woman of God, someone of faith that has read the Bible. I'd ask them, where's dinosaurs in the Bible? Why don't they talk about dinosaurs? And most of the people I've asked couldn't answer that question. So I did some digging. And it is interesting. There's a couple passages in the Bible that talk about a behemoth with a tree like a cedar. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've seen a cedar tree. Name an animal with a tail like a cedar tree. Other than a dinosaur, crocodile, I guess. I don't know. It's definitely interesting, and that's a whole different topic. We could go deep on that, but and like I said, I'm not really a religious guy, but I do think that there's, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that there's so much about our history that we don't know, and there's so many questions that need to be answered, and the research has to be done. Aaron says, Bob Lazar says it's already happening. You just have to believe he's credible. Yeah, man. As far as Bob Lazar goes, I don't know if you guys have seen the Joe Rogan episode where he interviewed Bob Lazar. It's definitely interesting. The things that man was talking about that people said were science fiction were proven to be real. Element 115, the hand scanner that scanned the bone density in your fingers for identification purposes. That's insane. Everyone said that was crazy, that technology didn't exist, and lo and behold, it exists. Very, very compelling interview if you haven't seen it. I do. Every time I go to Vegas, I look for the Janet flights. If you're, into that sort of thing, that there's a separate terminal from our terminal, we can say, that has a bunch of unmarked red striped aircraft that are known as the Janet flights that transport employees back and forth to, I imagine, Area 51 and other military installations. But from what I understand, it's Area 51. Very interesting. I would love to follow one of the employees, like find them at the craps table or something. Like, hey, man, what's up? But yeah, I find him to be somewhat credible. But if you listen to the interview, it's very interesting because everything is compartmentalized. Okay, and I have a story that relates to this. I'm going to try to get the guy on the show. It was a guy I trained for work who was in the military, and he told me that he spoke with a friend who was in the military who was working security at a military installation and saw some things that changed his life. But time and time again, I hear about compartmentalization and how even when you're involved in projects like Bob Lazar claims to have been involved in the reverse engineering of spacecraft, um, not everybody knows everything. You've got different teams assigned to different aspects of the reverse engineering process. And man, it lends to some credibility because if I was the government and I didn't want somebody to know everything, I would probably do the same thing. I would compartmentalize everything. So, and, like Bob Lazar said in the interview, it's very possible they could be feeding him BS. If they were feeding him wrong information, um, because if imagine if they gave him wrong information just to see, because I guess they said that one of these crafts was from the Zeta Reticuli, the star system. Uh, if they gave him that piece of information and it got leaked, then they would know the source, right? So why wouldn't they throw in a little misinformation just to see what information was leaking out to the public and what wasn't? Very, very interesting. Universal Inquirer says dragon. Yeah. If you're referring to the Bible comment, could very well be a dragon as well. I know if I talk about dragons, Matt will lose his mind. So we'll wait to talk about dragons for when Matt gets back. Definitely something about dragons, though, guys. This world is a very strange place. Okay, let's get back into these videos. We've almost ran an hour. I didn't think I'd be able to hold the show this long, but here we are. This next video could very well be fake, but I thought it was fun. This is a... Now, you've seen these cameras, even phone cameras, that can zoom in on the moon with super high definition and clarity. I think that's amazing. Now, here we have a video of the moon that is not super high definition, and the clarity is definitely lacking. But let's take a look. I thought this was compelling footage. If it is real, it could obviously be super, super fake. But if it was real, definitely gets you thinking. Let's check it out. This is a video of the moon, and I believe objects entering it.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? What is going on with the moon?
Okay, so that is actually... So there was two videos that I had of moon. This is one of them. The other one was a super grainy shot of what appears to be a craft entering the moon and what appears to be a hangar in the moon that looks like a crater. The object goes inside, and then the crater goes and seals up. I thought it was super compelling, but it just looked too BS to me. This footage looked interesting because it is somebody super zoom on the moon, and you see an object that either goes on the other side of the moon or goes into the moon, but you definitely see some objects above the surface of the moon, which is very interesting. That's a whole nother topic too. Did we go to the moon? I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure we did. To be honest, I've seen some compelling footage and things like that with photo manipulation that lends me to think that we might not have gone to the moon, folks. But let's take a look at this footage again.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? What is going on with the moon?
Could very well be. With these cameras, man, if they're trying to hide stuff, they're not going to be able to hide it for long. That's all I got to say about that. You know what I mean? With high-powered telescopes, and like I said, you can zoom in on the moon with your phone. So if they are trying to hide stuff, it's in their best interest just to let us know what's going on, because we will, it's the day and age of the internet. The internet is undefeated. We will find answers to everything. That's why I think it's, with the moon footage and these people that break down the footage from the moon and they start looking into lighting and things like that, man, there's some compelling arguments that it was all done on a soundstage. Did Stanley Kubrick direct it? You know, did he have some sort of part in the faking of the moon landing? Who knows? But there is a lot of compelling evidence, and Talking Paranormal is going to dig deep into it as time goes on. Um, you're going to hear me say this a lot on the show, and that's that I'm super excited to get into all these different subject matters, and we're going to be doing the rounds. We're going to come back to Bigfoot. We're going to come back to ghosts. We're going to come back to UFOs and stuff. It's going to be a really fun show. I'm really excited. I wish Matt could be here with me right now to share in the excitement. Like I said, I thought he was going to have to carry me through the show because I told him the other day, I was like, man, I am feeling like somebody chewed me up and spit me out. I have the flu. And thank God for flu medicine because here we are. Which I was worried. I was like, God, I hope I'm not too loopy on the show. But I think we're doing okay. So that was some interesting footage from the moon. I can't wait to see what footage comes out as more people look at the moon. I did see a video that was super compelling. It was of the eclipse that we had recently within the past, year or two. And it was a UFO by the solar eclipse. Now, why would it be there? Maybe to see the eclipse for itself. I thought to myself, if I was a UFO and I wanted to be seen and there was an eclipse, what better way than to show myself right next to the solar eclipse? Because everybody's going to be looking at it. Here I am. How's your government going to hide this one? You know? We've got 3 more clips, folks, and then we'll call it a night. This clip is funny. We mentioned it on the last show, but I thought this clip was funny. You'll see why in a second. It's basically a haunted building and what appears to be an Arab man, and they see a figure at the end of the hallway. Now, most people would probably freak out. What this guy does is very, very interesting. The set of balls on this guy, I'll tell you that. Check this out. The guy is in a robe, a headdress, a turban, I guess, and sandals. Who goes ghost hunting in a robe and sandals? This guy sees a figure at the end of the hallway and goes full clip in sandals right for this thing and chases it through this building. The balls on that guy. You know, man, I don't think I've ever seen another ghost hunter run full clip at a figure that they see in the darkness. You know, this guy just in sandals and a robe just takes off. Man, he wasn't having it. He's like, nope. You know, bless that guy. He's amazing. I would shake that guy's hand. If this video is fake, man, what a funny video to fake. And what a great concept. You know, let's dress up like a Middle Eastern dude, sandals, the robe, the turban or whatever. And let's have him see something at the end of the hallway. Instead of being scared, he runs full clip at it. That is hilarious. It's so funny. In fact, we got to watch this again. This guy, full clip in sandals and upstairs. This guy, I'm going to say that this is real footage. Only because if this was a prank, you would have to practice. I mean, the building that they're in is, you know, dilapidated. You know, there's debris all over the place. And to run in an area like that in sandals that you're not familiar with, that's super sketchy, you know, unless you're well versed in running in sandals. I think this is really a Middle Eastern gentleman ghost hunting in a building, seeing something and running after it in sandals and a robe. Let's check it out again.
يا حد
Oh man, did you see the size of that mag light he had? That thing was like 3 feet long. It was gigantic. If I was that ghost, I would have ran too. I would have been like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Oh man, could you imagine if it wasn't a ghost and it was really somebody like just in the building? How scary that would be! Like you turn the corner and there's this guy and he's got this flashlight and he starts running full clip at you. Man, what a crazy video. I thought that was a fun one to throw in there for a couple quick laughs. um, here's a this is we're gonna end on 2 UFO videos. Um, the most compelling videos in the realm of ufology to me are the videos from aircraft pilots, whether they be military or um, just civilian aircraft. Uh, like JetBlue, Delta, Alaskan Airlines, Southwest, um, just airline pilots that see objects in the sky that blow them away because they're in the sky all the time. So when they see things in the sky and they go, "What the hell is that?" I go, "Okay, he's pretty credible. It's a credible witness." And that's what we need when we do research on these things like UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, things like that. We need credible witnesses. A credible witness, very, very, very important. So let's watch this video.
I don't know what that is.
That is some weird shit.
Millennia 2735, contact Ho 120.7, good day. Ho 120.7, good day, Millennia 2735.
That's something flying.
Gone.
I don't know what that is.
That is some weird shit.
Millennia 2735, contact Ho 120.7, good day. Ho 120.7, good day, Millennia 2735.
That's something flying.
Gone.
I don't know what that is.
That is some weird shit.
Millennia 2735, contact Ho 120.7, good day. Ho 120.7, good day, Millennia 2735.
That's something flying.
Gone.
You heard the pilot. That is some weird shit. I don't disagree. So you have 3 sets of lights that it looked like 10 lights, or 15 lights, 5 lights per row, but it's like they're shutting off and turning on, and then they end up disappearing. They're flying in formation, and they're above the clouds. super compelling footage to me. Super compelling. When you have airline pilots going, what the hell is that? That is weird. You know, they've been in the sky for a very long time. You know, they're seasoned veterans. This, I would assume, is an international flight. I'm just assuming that. Um, and above clouds is a series of lights flying in formation that end up disappearing. Um, I don't know. I don't. You could say flares. I mean, that's just me just shooting into the dark. You know, I don't think those were flares. I think there was some sort of. I mean, were each one of those lights individual crafts? They were flying in such formation, and then it seems like the outside ones were blinking on and off. Very interesting. What if it was a craft that was able to cloak, but you could see the lights? That's an interesting thought too. You know, if they have the technology to travel, you know, across the solar systems, you know, across the galaxy, you know, don't you think they'd be able to cloak themselves? um, I also would like to talk about um, unidentified submerged objects, objects that have been seen going into and out of bodies of water like the ocean. Very interesting topic. Um, when I see things like this, though, like I said, when you've got pilots going, what the hell is that? That's compelling to me. You know, and footage that's, you know, seemingly innocent, for lack of a better term. You know, you don't see a flying disc, you don't see an object, you know, clear. You know, you see just these lights. Super mysterious, and definitely thought provoking. I imagine if it was a military aircraft of some kind, that it probably would have just disappeared. You know, we don't need these people, you know, watching us like this. You know, it's just so thought provoking. You know, what could it be? Um, Probably definitely a compelling piece of footage. I wish we had more information, like where it was. Uh, you know what? A little bit of information about the people, the witnesses. You know, are these seasoned veteran aircraft pilots, airline pilots? I'm going to go ahead and assume yes. Very, very compelling. Let's jump into this last piece of footage and then shut this podcast down for the night. This is another unidentified flying object. Another one from at Dark Sky Files. This needs to be said. Drones. Okay. So this footage, I believe, is real. It would be too hard to fake. I shouldn't say that. It could be faked, but you see this. So this is dash cam footage, and you see the object fly through some trees, and you can see the object's light through the trees in the openings in the branches and stuff. So it would be a really hard one to fake. Why not fake one that's easier? If you're going to pull a hoax. But if you're going to pull a hoax, I guess if you have the abilities to make one super complicated, you would. That way less people would doubt it. But it could be a drone. It really could be a drone far enough up in the sky that the guy didn't quite understand what he was looking at. Triangular shaped, 3 lights, very well could be a drone. But going back to the TR3B, triangular shaped. I think my neighbor's dog is barking. I think that's what I heard. Either that or demon is growling in my ear. But yeah, we got to be careful these days, folks, especially with triangular craft. Without clear footage, we would have to assume drone. It's unfortunate. Triangular craft, though, man, we need to talk about the Phoenix Lights someday on this show. Super compelling. I think that happened in 1997 over Phoenix, Arizona, where people saw a triangular formation in the sky that was huge. And that was, I think they debunked it as flares, but we all know they weren't flares. Giant craft. That's what the rumor is. We'll have to address that on another episode of the show. But I love when clips are played with super ominous music playing. It makes you really want to go, it's real. That one, if it was real, if that was really a spaceship in the sky, triangular shaped, super compelling footage. But again, with it being so grainy, that footage was grainy as all get out. I gotta lean towards drone, to be honest. Which is unfortunate because it's a really good piece of footage. And it was filmed in what, I think 2018. So they had drones back then. But as we get more sophisticated with these drones, you've seen these things, computer controlled, doing crazy things in the sky, crazy formations. I've seen crazy things done with fireworks. Okay. So, we really have to take that kind of stuff into account, which makes the footage from China that we reviewed earlier a lot more compelling. When they're shutting down airports, they're not going to shut down an airport for a drone. If they did, that poor guy would be heavily fined. Could you imagine? But like we do on this show, we pick the most compelling piece of footage that we find, or what we believe to be the most compelling piece of footage. Now, as much as I like this piece of footage, which is the aircraft carrier, which we're going to play again, I do think the Chinese footage from the airport is a lot more compelling. If you get a chance, you should look up the craft that was seen at the airport. It is remarkable. Very large craft, lights, the whole meal deal, everything you want out of UFO. This thing's got it. And they shut down the airport. But let's watch both of those videos one more time to close out the show. Here is the footage again of the aircraft carrier showing what I believe to be the TR-3B, if it indeed is real footage.
September 2018, the Mediterranean Sea. An F-18 is approaching the deck of the carrier USS Ford. It looks like a pinpoint precise landing. But then,
as it goes to touchdown, we actually see a triangular-shaped UFO, like something that would be right out of an alien movie.
Again, super compelling. Why would they show us that? Why? I have to ask why. But if that footage is real and that is a real craft, I got some questions. Oh, man. Just do a reveal. U.S. government, if you watch this, just do a reveal. We're all big boys and girls. You've been conditioning us for enough time, with all these crazy movies. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to fake an alien invasion. Could you imagine? They're like scaring us with all these viruses and stuff. And they're like, all right, clearly we can't bring the world to its knees the way we want. I guess we're just gonna have to do the alien invasion bit. you know, they said it. Who was it? Was it Ronald Reagan? I think said it. Was it Ronald Reagan who said that the only way we would all come together as a united species, a one world, if you will, is if we were, confronted with an attack from alien forces. Then we would be a one world government type scenario. That's a topic for a different show. But yeah, gosh, if that craft is real, could you imagine if we actually reverse engineered alien spacecraft? What kind of brainiacs did that? You're talking about a craft that, unless it's from one of our local planets that we just don't quite know a lot about, if these crafts are from a different galaxy, that alone is mind-boggling. And the fact that we could reverse engineer their technology, that is mind-boggling. Funny, in the Bob Lazar interview on the Joe Rogan Experience, he talked about the rumor of one of the spacecrafts. I think there was 9 total, I think, if I remember right. There was 9 different spacecraft. And I believe one of them, he said, was discovered in an archaeological dig. How crazy is that? Mind blown, if that is real. But let's end the show on this piece of footage here. These are the 2 Chinese UFOs that were seen 2 weeks apart. One of them, the first one, shutting down a Chinese airport. I forget the name of the place. But no military action, from what I understand, and from what this footage tells us, which is, questionable to me. But let's take a look, and then we'll shut her down. Here we go.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media, and theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you identify it?
That's undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. And aviation experts say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
Remarkable footage, to say the least. Wow, how many videos did we review tonight? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That can't be right. Like 13 videos or something like that. That was a lot of fun, guys. I had fun. I wish Matt could have been here, but Matt, if you are watching this, if you are listening, we do hope for your speedy recovery, and I hope for my own speedy recovery. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And, make sure you let your kids know that aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, all of those things are real. This show's so much fun, guys. I can't tell you how fun this is for me. I'm excited to, cover all sorts of topics. And I think Matt and I we're gonna talk about aliens and UFOs again. Hopefully he watches this video and this episode, and hopefully he can give us some of his thoughts. As you can hear, I am still congested, but we're working through it. And I don't know about you, but I had a really good time tonight. I appreciate all you guys that are going to be listening to this as a podcast. I appreciate you. I do suggest listening to this podcast on Spotify because you will get the video in conjunction with the audio. Spotify is the best place to consume this show as a podcast. However, I encourage YouTube or Facebook video. YouTube probably takes the cake in that. I'm sure Facebook's going to love me saying that, but definitely follow us on social media. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all under at Talking Paranormal Podcast. If you have a paranormal story or a mysterious story, anything that you feel would be interesting for us to share on the show, you can reach us by email, story@talkingparanormal.com. Share the story with us. If you feel like you're a compelling person and you could tell the story better than we could, we would love to have you on screen on the show. And in order to do that, you will also have to send an email to story@talkingparanormal.com and just let us know your situation. What do you want to talk about? What kind of story do you have? And we'd love to have you on the show. This show is an open forum to the paranormal, and we're open-minded here. If you think your story's crazy, we're not going to call you a maniac. We're going to give you a chance to share your story and tell the world. And no judgment, but it is an open forum for discussion. So if you come on the show with a crazy story, be prepared, because we will be asking you the tough questions. And it's all in. I have to. If someone were to come on the story and tell me and Matt about a crazy encounter or something, I'm going to ask them all sorts of questions. Much like when Matt tells me his ghost stories, I ask him some questions that I think not only that I would want to know, but that people listening would want to know. You know what I mean? I think those questions are important, and it's not to sit here and debunk somebody. I take everybody's account on face value. I assume that when you're telling me your story, you're telling me the truth, and I want details. So I know Matt's the same way, and this show's all about fun. We've mentioned before that we can't sit here and say that all these videos are real, but what we can do is watch them together, and we can all formulate an opinion and make our best educated guess. Or this is an opinion based show. um None of these videos I played today could be real. They could all be fake. Who knows? But if one of them was real, there you have it, folks. What I say earlier. Just the world is a very mysterious place, and we're here to unpack a little tiny bit of it. Peckerwood Customs, my buddy Aaron from Australia. Thanks for another great video, mate. I'll talk to my Air Force buddy about the China footage too. Yeah, definitely. Aaron's a guy. We need to get you on the show, dude. I know you got stories. I want to hear them. But I do appreciate everybody that joined us in the chat and that watched the show tonight and future episodes and past episodes. If this is your first time for Talking Paranormal, I'm normally here with the co-host. His name is Matt Monroe. I call him Big Block. He's a very good friend of mine. He was sick today, and we decided to let the show go on. I'm sick as well, but we really wanted to get you guys a piece of content tonight, and we did it the best way we know how, and that's talking about videos and having a good time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. If this is your first time, like I said, definitely go back and watch the first 2 episodes. The first episode was on Bigfoot. Second episode was on ghosts. And we are going to be circling around to all these subjects multiple times throughout this show. The idea is, each episode we'll review some fun videos, talk about them, get the conversation all spiced up. And then we usually will have a main topic of discussion where Matt and I will share our opinions and on various subjects and things like that. And then hopefully as the show progresses and develops, we can get some really fun guests that are maybe experts in these certain fields of study, whether it be cryptozoology with Bigfoot and cryptids, ufology, and the paranormal. This show, Matt and I have discussed this many times. Anything paranormal, strange, weird, mysterious, unusual, all those words to describe things that are not normal are welcome on the show. There's just so much fun stuff to talk about. I can't wait to get into missing people in the wilderness, conspiracy theories. We definitely want to touch on some true crime because there's some crazy true crime stories out there. I know true crime's big. It won't be a focus of the show. Obviously, the show is called Talking Paranormal, but there are some interesting true crime stories that I think would be fun to cover on the show. So those are the things to look forward to every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. Central Time. You'll find us right here on Facebook, YouTube, and then later on as a podcast once we post to all of our podcast platforms. Like I said, I think the best place to listen to the show is Spotify because you also get the video and you'll be able to watch certain segments because the show, clearly it's very heavily video based. And I know as a podcast listener myself, when I hear people talking about videos, I would like to see them, and I hate having to reference back to them later. So that's why I suggest listening to this podcast through Spotify because you get the video as well. Thank you very much for joining me on this glorious Saturday night. I am your host, Chris Albrecht. My co-host, Matt Monroe, is not here, but he will be joining us next week where we once again will talk paranormal. Thanks for watching. Oh, I should say, those of you that may have noticed my Ghost Squatch shirt, it's a character I came up with. I thought it was really fun. Matt and I decided that the Ghost Squatch will be the mascot of the show. So I'm working on some merchandise right now where you will eventually be able to purchase Talking Paranormal swag and shirts and stickers with our buddy, the Ghost Squatch. Because who knows? Maybe Sasquatch is a ghost. You never know. But thanks again for joining me. Until next time, my friends, my name is Chris Albrecht, and this was Talking Paranormal.